The extent of the lies, for instance, making us believe we are monkeys on a spinning ball, becomes its own defense, in that everyday people cannot bring themselves to come to terms with the situation. However, to ignore it is more than unhelpful. Rather, silence is violence. Problems that could be situated and tackled aren't, so they get worse. There is no gentle, politically correct way to talk about the biological attack in 2021. The fallout is unfortunately being felt, however, and it looks to be more than depopulation, physical death, and serious injury. These aspects are covered by a few real physicians, such as Dr. Campbell on YouTube. I would speculate that the many different, admittedly experimental mRNA vaccines being produced could also be being used to alter brain function, personality, and hormones. In other words, transhumanism. One result is a sudden burning desire in women to do running and hard exercise. Bodies changing, becoming more muscular, while groups of young men fop about, dressing up, dyeing their hair bright colours. The former are now encouraged to be police, firemen, and in the army, jumping around on battlefields. No coincidence, perhaps, that the worst psyoped cities, LA and Hollywood, have been burnt to the ground with direct energy weapons. They hope there will be minimal kickback, or better, that the residents will think they were somehow started by random terrorists or similar bogus stories. And of course, it's the catch-22 of, if you do complain about the trends, now you're homophobic or bigoted. But it's quite the contrary. The women, children, and what has always been a fractional part of the society, the gay and lesbian community, are being targeted and used as tools. No one's forgetting how they sent the perverts into the primary schools in 2022. It must have been obvious. Even to the so-called liberals wouldn't tolerate this. So, setting up the polar opposite, Trumpism, and a type of right-wing politics experienced in the early 20th century in the USA. To begin with, I thought the media propaganda and stresses of the reset were enough to explain away the gender merging. Another aspect of it is that when the immigrants are brought in en masse to the small British towns, apparently not so affected, healthier and better adjusted, and ready to start large families, they must be thinking, look at these degenerates. We best run the place, and they are right. The beast system, always watching through the multifarious cameras, is delighted to see people lose all dignity, lower than animals on a farm. Solutions then. Firstly, to avoid eating the toxic food from the kebabis and fast food joints. Recently, human DNA was found in hot dogs in California. This is one of the main ways the drugs are getting into us. Secondly, to realize mobile phones are nothing more than gadgets, stupid toys for adults, introduced just before all this started as the ultimate distraction from the real natural world being geoengineered. The mobile phones are constantly radiating one's body and monitoring as they are carted around all day and held to the head straight to the brain. Lastly, instead of turning a blind eye to the clown show, make fun of it and discourage it. That's doing a young, impressionable person who doesn't know better a favour, rather than leaving them to the corruption that can never lead to a happy or secure adulthood.